right, we are live. People can see us all around the world. We're just,
Great.
we're just, yeah. No, I don't think anybody sees us yet. But hold on a second. Actually,
Oh,
it does say 0. So let's just see if
perfect. Oh, that's fine. Here. Uh, Lighting. Okay. That works. Yeah, we just got a small little camera, small little on camera light here this time. So from
oh,
Aperture.
well,
Yeah.
which camera is showing you right
Oh,
now?
it's on the 5DS. I put it on the 5DSR because it has a it has a hot shoe mount, but I don't have an extra tripod or anything. So I'm like, well, I need it on my desk
So you
to
have
point.
one camera that's we're viewing you through that camera, and then you have another camera that's just holding a light.
Yeah, essentially, it's I'm using it as a tripod. So
That's cool.
there we go. Does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, let's pull up
Yeah,
that thing before we start like actual Q&A. Let's we're going to start at 9 officially according to the
yeah.
rules. But
Yeah, you want to see this?
yeah, you were showing you were
Yeah.
showing me something before. What was it? Go ahead.
So yeah, we've created this new product where we're showing. Um, we're going to be using Google Earth and After Effects, and yeah, just trying something new, showing them how far it is from downtown, kind of thing.
Is this a
And so
serv-
this was our.
is this a service you'd consider doing for other people?
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah.
you
This
could.
is
This looks
fairly
like,
simple.
if I understand how you if I understand how you did this, how I would do it, then you could literally pull that information from anywhere and use the addresses.
Pretty
Use
much, yeah. And then the other thing is this: it's one of the. Let's face it, when we're talking about real estate, the big thing is, you know, a house is a bunch of walls, windows, and doors, and that's it. But you and I know this, where
and
we buy a
electronics and
place.
electronics and wiring and plumbing and
Yeah. But still, we
foundations.
buy a place because it's close to a school, it's close
Yeah.
to this, it's close to that. And we've been always, saying it's like, okay, well, we always include like area shots from with all of our photos so that
That's
people can
that's
tell the story of the home.
Hey,
And
what
this
do you
is
think?
just
What do you think about the mass move that probably will be happening with so many people that don't have to go to their downtown offices anymore? Because
right.
now they've been working from home for a while, and the person who's working from home and the companies both realize it's in a lot of cases it's going great, and
Yeah.
so I think there be a lot of people who have been commuting for paying a whole bunch to commute for 15 minutes versus an hour. Maybe they'll
Hmm.
just go ahead and move the hour away because they only have to go there
Well,
occasionally. And
well,
that's going
there's
to be interesting for
this.
the real estate market, right?
Oh yeah, there's this whole thing that I was listening to about the re-ruralization
Yeah,
of
yeah,
people,
yeah.
and so like we're seeing it now where people are moving from the city to the small outskirt towns, and starting up little businesses there, like
Okay.
opening up a coffee shop in a small town that never needed a coffee shop, but now that people are working from home, there's a need.
Yeah,
So
I totally agree. I find it really interesting that there's going to be, yeah, after this, so many people just congregating in cities for so long, and now I think it's great that we're going to hopefully see just that change and shift. And I mean, I think it'll be bad for a lot of people, unfortunately, but I think it's just an
yeah.
interesting shift, and I'm just interested in seeing how it happens. I mean, I've been a renter in the city my whole adult
Hmm.
life, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I don't know, get into personal stuff, but let's it's 9 o'clock. Do
Oh,
something.
perfect.
Let's do something. Oh, we have somebody from Ghana,
Oh, awesome.
but AIK. How do you say that? Ike. Ike. Can you comment on the public comments? He put one in the private chat, and if
Ah,
you have
perfect.
questions, love to hear. That'd be so cool to see what's going on. If you're a real estate photographer, man, what is going
Yeah,
on over there?
hop
That'd
on
be
board
great. Hold on, let me do my little. Let's do our little official intro, and
and get started.
we will have an official Q&A. And so if you're watching already, shoot your questions in the comments, or there's a link. The first link in the comments is to join us on here like Mr. Ike is doing, or Ike Creations is doing, and you can join us on here. Okay, so we'll be right back. And we're on official according to, no, there's no FCC rules, so we don't have to follow those. We are on the internet, on Facebook, here for Q&A Live. This is Ron. I'm in San Francisco Bay Area. That is Rob. He's up in Calgary, you mentioned today, not?
Yes,
Vancouver.
Calgary, Alberta.
We're here to answer questions or discuss real estate photography. We're here talking, we're here during still continuing the quarantine time. And so I wanted to first mention that we're on the HDR Soft Facebook and YouTube channel. And HDR Soft, at the beginning of quarantine, we thought it was going to be, well, they said 2 weeks, and we thought it was going to be more like, okay, we'll call it a month. We'd offer something nice, and that is to go to hdrsoft.com and click on the banner on the top. It's if you're doing that pretty soon. This is August 2020. If you're doing that pretty soon, you can go to hdrsoft.com and click on the COVID link on the top. There's a whole bunch of information about if you want to get started on with HDR, if you've never tried it, if you've heard about it, not sure about it. There's a lot of helpful information there, including a free license offer for Photomatix Essentials, which is the Essentials version that's intended for the person that's new to HDR. Check it out. And we've also started a Facebook group to see if we want to see if that is going to be a thing for HDR Soft and the Photomatix team to get more involved in social media. Go ahead and join there. And there are some members there now, so I can no longer say be an inaugural member, but you can still shape it and participate. All right, with all that out of the way, find Rob at calgaryphotos.ca. He's full of great ideas that we're gonna benefit from for free right now.
Yes, nobody is paying me to be here, so.
Well, yeah, and anyone watching, even if you were being paid, they would be not paying. So yeah, I brought a couple questions to get us started, but first, how busy are your guys, Rob, in the real estate?
It's right now it's slowing down, and it's slowing down because we are in the last week of summer vacation before school starts again. I think a lot of people are just getting busy trying to figure that part out in life. But then, we've also got we also have winter coming, and so this is an interesting time for us because winter in Alberta is let's say it starts in around October and lasts until around May. And so there's a flurry of people now who are getting the exteriors of their houses shot before everything dies. And then they're just going to be stockpiling that until the winter when people are ready to actually list.
So you get clients that want the exterior shot just in anticipation of selling later.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. And then do you shoot the whole house or just the exterior?
No, just the exterior, because typically in those situations, the interior is not ready for shooting.
Right.
No. And we have a lot of speculative sellers out here who are saying, well, okay, so Alberta's a little bit different. Our main industry here was oil and gas. And with everything that's going on with COVID, and then with is essentially the states shutting down some of our major pipelines that we were trying to get down there.
Yeah, they were literally giving away oil a few months ago. Is that still?
Yeah.
I mean, weren't they literally not only giving it away, but paying because somebody had to store it if they took it?
Exactly. Yeah, it was down to I think it was like negative $30 or something. Yeah. That was ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. So oil got to the point where all the oil and gas companies up here are just completely suffering. And with the election coming up down there, we have no idea what's going to be happening to our economy up here because we're so dependent on the States. So because of that, yeah, we have a lot of people that are speculating whether or not they're going to sell. So they're preparing.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna skip this political softball because it's just nobody wants to hear my opinions about how they're never going to help us, kind of thing. Well, tell you what, I had a couple of questions ahead of time asked on some comments. Let me see if there are other ones here.
Sure.
Let's see. Someone was asking. Hey, Isaac already requested to join the group.
Right.
Someone was asking, approved, about getting realistic results. I copied and pasted what he said. This is just a copy paste from a conversation we were having ahead of the show. And he just said, and can you show us some samples of Photomatix results? I have tried, I could not create decent and natural results. So yeah, totally. I can show a couple things. I think Robbie can show some things too. In fact, let me do a quick preface. I remember starting out with HDR and getting silly results that didn't hold up. I remember that. It's no one is sitting here saying, "Oh, all you got to do is click this button." That's not it at all. I had to learn about how to use the process, and I had to also try other kinds of processes. And before I'd like to not do live demos today because my still old computer is here because UPS lost my new one, and it was custom, so now it's going to take another week and a half. So I'd rather not challenge my old computer here, but I can still show some. I'll use the whole screen here. I have a tab pulled up. I'm just don't mean this. This is not really real estate, but this is not a real estate shot. It's not exactly hyper realistic, but you wouldn't. I don't know if it screams HDR or not, but what I wanted to show here is that. What I wanted to show here is that yes, I do have what you would probably think is HDR. I think this is pretty obvious, right? So maybe those are the kind of ultra hyper results that people are talking about. But that's one option. And I mean, I like that shot. I think it's cool. But yeah, it's an HDR shot. That's nothing to do with HDR, those, I guess. But I'm just going to switch over to a couple of real estate samples here. I'm just using my SmugMug site. So hopefully
that works.
Yeah, I didn't want to punch up Lightroom at the moment. That didn't seem like a good idea. So just this is just a few real estate samples that I have on there, and so I didn't take an afternoon to create a beautiful architectural shot ready for a magazine, yeah. But on the other hand, if we're looking at exteriors and interiors, I think they hold up. And it didn't take me much time at all in Photomatix, plus a little bit of post-processing. So one thing I wanted to mention there is that you're really talking about a whole workflow to get your image. I think that starts with number one, shooting it so that you cover the entire dynamic range, all the way down to very dark corners over there where those plants are. So that was probably nine stops, and so I'm going to roll other questions into this one. That means I took on my Nikon 9 shots at 1 EV spacing, because that's what that camera allows. Other ones would be the same using 5 shots with 2 EV spacing is probably what I did there. This is nothing new. I don't remember. So capturing the whole dynamic range is number one. I don't know how you'd expect to get good results if you don't cover the dynamic, in terms of dynamic range, if you don't shoot the whole dynamic range. And then I like to do a good raw processing that takes out the chromatic aberration, does the noise reduction, does all those things. So we're professional photographers. We need to use the right steps for these things, but they become habit, and they're not difficult. They don't take a lot of time. Most things are done in batch processes. So with the Photomatix step, I really like to use Fusion. There are Fusion Natural and Fusion Interior that are intended for real estate, and they come out with a really realistic result to start. And I almost always, depending on how the jobs are going and the specific places, I'll do some post-processing, I'll play a little bit with the contrast, and I might do some local adjustments if there's some color issues. So those steps are needed. I don't expect to get instant results out of just a batch, although sometimes you can and sometimes not. So the exteriors are usually a bit easier to do than the interiors. So anyway, just a few examples that I had handy that I think they hold up for real estate and don't look fake. So I can hand it over to Rob, it looks like here.
So, we use Photomatix for all of our stuff as well. And so, with these images, just gonna put it onto a slideshow here. These are all done using Photomatix. So, but of course, we do process them afterwards, and then we tweak lighting here and there and edit here and there. But for the majority of it, it's all done through Photomatix.
Yeah, I was going to say if somebody is trying to stick just in Photomatix and get your end result, especially if it's for MLS, it really shouldn't be. It's really doable because you have some basic post-processing tools in there as well. It's called Finishing Touch panel, and it allows some contrast and stuff, and you can crop and resize and get it ready for MLS. So you can do that. It's just that many people have their post-processing app of choice. Like if you're a Lightroom user, why wouldn't you want to stick in what you're used to? Of course, the tools are really, really very developed, so you can run like the batch process using the Photomatix batch plugin right there in Lightroom, and then just bang through your post edits. Usually just anywhere from a couple of seconds to I don't think you're going to spend more than a minute on a photo. I'm not sure. It depends on the photo. Yeah, a lot of times it's matching color so that they're consistent through the series more than adjusting for anything other in the photo. Usually it's for consistency.
Yeah, we maybe do, I don't know, 15 to 30 seconds of a photo afterwards, and then depending on what the job is and what the level of sophistication that's needed for the photos, we can spend more time on it and tweak it so that it's got a little bit more flair to it. But for the most part, yeah, once we get the shot and we've got all the additional shots that we need to really enhance it, then yeah, the editing becomes quite quick.
Yeah, let's just show your photos. They're way better. I am at the point of starting to shoot more houses here shortly again, so I'll have some new stuff. Mine is still pretty old, but
yeah, I'm gonna have to talk to you about how to do better 360s. We got a few clients that need that kind of stuff, and I'm complete loss now.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll just do a impromptu live talk about that. Share. Hey, I did shoot my first Matterport.
Oh, did you? Great! Congratulations.
I'm not sure how I feel about it because it's just so easy, and
Yeah.
I've been working on all the details of 360s for so long that I've already known that specialty is not really needed anymore as these cameras come out and they're getting better and better.
Mm-hmm.
the photos are not as good as what I would do, but for what you're doing, how the Matterport works and how easy it is, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
definitely.
great photos. Again, for anybody trying to get realistic result or having trouble getting realistic results, think about the shoot first,
Hmm.
because if you don't cover the dynamic range, you're really over pumping. I guess I'm not sure how to. I'm not the most technical guy in the world. It's not going to work. You can have a lot of noise. You can have the things that don't balance. So really think about the shoot first. There is a if you go to if you go to hdrsoft.com and go to the Learn link up above on the top of the page,
Hmm.
there's a very detailed real estate interior shooting tutorial. And I helped create that, and it's overly detailed so that it's the idea would be go through it if you want, go through it exactly as said, and it's the exercise of going through that will show you a lot of what needs to be done, and then you'll find your own ways of doing it quicker and without so much detail, obviously. But that's the first step. Then, the first, the the OG way of tone mapping is called Details Enhancer, and that started in about I think 2003 or two. And that's the one that it's just easy to get those. It's just easy to get those surreal, fake-looking results. You don't have to. It's just that when you click a couple times, that can tend to happen easily. But it can be toned down in a lot of ways. But even easier than that, there are a lot of options, a lot of different styles that of the engine, the algorithms, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to tone map and fuse in Photomatix, and just try them all, and you'll see there are ways of getting realistic results. There's a at the top of I could risk I'm opening up the app. I could risk having a computer problem. That would just be
Yeah.
horrible.
But no, you're absolutely right. The nice thing about Photomatix and the way that we use it is that make we would take our files, put them through a couple of the presets there, find the one that is closest to the look that we want, and then using the customization, we would tweak the look to be exactly what we want, and then we would make our own user preset from that.
Mhm.
And that's how we've been doing this work for 10 years now, where I I think I think the main presets that we've got are now what, like 8 or 9 years old. Um, I can't remember when Photomatix started doing batch processing, but that was it. That was what uh, really jettisoned our business, because now we were able to literally just press a button and have all of our photos taken to around a 90% complete step. Whereas before, God, I remember in 2000, around 2009 when I started this, we had Infused GUI, which was at the time we thought was the best thing. But you had to take all your files and put 3 in at a time, and it would take around 5 minutes, and it'll spit out one image. So you can imagine, you have a client that wants 10 photos. Well, you're there for an hour just processing. Like, the shooting didn't take time, but the processing just took forever. And now it's just easy, which is great.
I just pulled up. I mean, it's a hotel, but it's the same thing. As most of us are working with an interior with a view,
Hmm.
and I think is the this is the default that comes up when I just loaded the images, and it looks it looks flat and all that. Now, quick side note is you could take this flattened, very flattened and even, like if you're a histogram person, it'll have a very flat histogram, even histogram. But you can
Hmm.
post-process the heck and get a great result with that. But that's only one option. Another one thing is up here on the top right, there is a, oops, why I'm on the wrong screen. You can choose these filters to look at the presets. Now, I'm not a big preset guy. I don't like to use them for my results, but I do like to use them to get close or to try things. So you can go to with the realistic filter, or better yet, for this group, real estate filter. And then it goes some presets that are usually good for interiors or for real estate. So there's one using a different underlying engine that already looks more realistic. I really like this natural one. It's just easy to keep it simple. And then the interior one is actually intended for this kind of a room with a view. And let's see, on my screen that's a little bit dark, but there are lots of options to change that, of course. In fact, I like interior too because it does that already for me.
Yeah, I think Interior 2 was the base that we used to create all of our presets.
Yeah. So there's just tons of options. The preset can do a few things. It can get you close, then you can make adjustments from there. The preset's great for batch because, again, it's getting you very close and you're intending to do touch-ups afterward. So, a lot of options. So if you're struggling, that's what I recommend to do is once you're sure that you've covered the dynamic range, try those other kinds of processing options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I'm stopping, putting you back on here. Let's see, we have
Couple of comments there. Oh, just is it from Peter Hurley?
no, it's from me, but I love Peter Hurley, and I did.
Yeah.
He's talking about. Hold on a second, I'll show you. He's talking about headshots. It's
Nice.
Are you familiar with Peter Hurley?
Yeah, no, his headshot videos are hilarious.
Yeah,
He's
let's give him little props here.
yeah.
He's talking
No,
about.
he's got the great personalities.
I did. We noticed that picture of me with the squinch. That's all Peter Hurley. So he's talking about these.
Nice.
Let's see. I don't know why this is so slow. Yeah, I did a section, Isaac, on, and I was definitely channeling the Peter Hurley.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I like the fact that he's got the charisma necessary to make people feel comfortable in front of a camera to get that great shot, like that natural smile, which is hard. It's
just something unique. More classic there.
Yeah.
On the beach.
Nice.
My models. And models and clients. Okay, so enough of that. But thanks for bringing that up, Isaac, because right before quarantine, I was really doing a bunch of headshots, and then that just stopped.
Oh.
John, hey John, we know you, right? Do you sell or provide presets? Oh man, do you want to go down a preset rabbit hole?
You know what? I could sell you my preset. Here's the thing. There's so much more that goes into it than just the presets. And so I could, but it wouldn't work. You got I think we did was it the last one that we did a quick how-to of going from raw to raw straight through to the HDR?
Yeah, we did a full edit on the last one. If you want to see a full edit, go to the last one of these we did 2 weeks ago, right on the HDR Soft Facebook page.
Exactly, and I think that was the one where I took you through just a quick edit of one image that I've done, and yeah, you can see how I got that done. And I think he's got another comment there.
Yeah, but before we go on to that, something about presets. First, I will, if they're still available, there's someone, a really great photographer, Wojciech, it's a Polish photographer, and he has a pack that's free. It's like 200 presets or something like that. And I think it's cool because there are, this is not so much for real estate because he has all these presets, all these situational things, and they're just ideas of things I would have never thought of doing. So
Mm-hmm.
that's has like a learning, helpful for learning aspect to it. But it's for presets. I really think you just going in a certain direction to see what's possible, and then you do need a presets if you're batch processing. So, but I think Rob and I would both recommend to create your own because it's easy. All you do
Mm-hmm.
is just choose your settings, go below the sliders. There's an option to save the preset, and then you can run it in the batch. And I'm such a big advocate of everyone's camera's different, style's different. Every house is different. So even when you do get great presets, they're only going to get you to a certain point. John, remind me if I don't find it during the show, but there's a big pack of presets you could try. And then there's an option to import presets in Photomatix as well. Did I close it down already? Yeah, I did, darn it.
Yeah.
It's above the presets. When you're in the My Preset section, you can import a big pack if you want to. And I think
Great.
Wojciech is hdr-photographer.com. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check when I quit talking for a second. And then yeah, I think you're right that I think we
Yeah,
sort
if you
of, I think we sort of answered that because I'm going to recommend covering the dynamic range shooting.
yeah.
Usually is the reason that you would get floor and corners. The orange could come from noise. That's a
Mm-hmm.
possibility, but it also could come from intersection of different light sources. So you'd want to manage the white balance for that. What do
Yeah,
you think,
exactly.
Rob?
Like from just what you can see here on my profile. If you look in the back, the cabinets are a lot more orange, and that's because I have purposefully turned on those lights back there because otherwise I'm in a rather cool room and there's not much separation between me and my background because all that would be grayed out and cool. So I wanted to add a little bit of color back there. So I just turned that light on. I should have actually turned the light on in the bedroom over there too, just to
Yeah.
add a little bit more color, but
What do you think? What do you think of my background?
it's fantastic.
I'm
Yeah.
still kind of on the road and finding places to broadcast from, so it's kind of cool. Let's see. So, John, I do 4+ shots a day. I mean, 4+ shoots a day, and I'm dealing with not having time to mess around in Photomatix. Yeah,
And you know what? That's exactly why we use Photomatix because we're
it
the exact
saves you
same
time.
way.
Yeah, it's supposed to
Yeah,
save
like
time.
I got 7 guys that are working all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, when we get busy, like one of my, I think our record so far was 12 a day for one guy.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, you can't mess around. You don't have time to mess around. You just have to be able to have a good workflow where you go in, you shoot, you have your computer processing on the road, and at the end of the day, you just let it go. And so,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
The with the white balance, I mean, shooting that many a day, I couldn't even drive but I'm in the Bay Area where you'd have to find and pay for parking every time and all this. I could never even get to that many houses in one day, let alone shoot them.
Oh yeah, no. The only way that we were able to do the 12 was we had 12 apartments that we had to shoot in the same building.
Oh yeah, well, okay, come on. Right.
So that
That's different.
was it. But still, like
Hey,
on a regular day, if you're driving, I think 8
I have a
is
trick
our
for you.
record.
8's the record for driving around.
Yeah.
I got asked once to do, it was like virtual tours, which takes longer to shoot than standard shots, of course. And
Hmm.
someone said like, okay, what's your rates? And I gave them a day rate, and they said, okay, here are these 8 properties I want you to shoot in a day. Like, you don't understand how this works.
Yeah.
John, he says, I shoot auto white balance, but might want to use a custom setting. I've found my camera, and I think cameras that I've heard about it, when you're shooting a bracketed set, if you choose auto white balance, it chooses one white balance and shoots the whole bracketed set that way.
Hmm.
which is probably the expected way it would do it. I think you really normally wouldn't want it to start choosing different white balances during a bracketed set, bang, 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 bang. But I still need to check if my cameras have an option to choose a different white balance for each shot. So, in other words,
Yeah.
if when it's shooting the darkest shot with a window, so the window would should be exposed pretty well in the darkest shot, then the white balance should be considered for that part that's exposed okay. And then the opposite is true for the brightest part, then it should be white balancing for the interior and ignoring the exterior. Lightroom does that when you choose your set and then choose the white balance to auto, it'll look at each one individually. So I've been
Yeah.
using that trick and then been using Fusion to and the HDR batch plugin, the Photomatix batch plugin in Lightroom, and then it's almost there after the batch plugin.
Mhm. Now,
So
one thing that we've done,
if anybody knows if the cameras can be set, I'm just a little bit lazy to look at the manual, but if anybody knows if the cameras can be set to do that individually, I would set my real estate profile in my camera to shoot it that way, and that'd be nice.
yeah. And one of the tricks that we did was with Fusion, because it doesn't actually compress tones and stuff like that. We did this thing before where we would do twilight exteriors, and so your darkest shot is going to be showing the stuff that's inside the house. So it's going to be looking at your oranges, right? So we would change that, and we would warm up cool down our images a bit so that we could actually see, so the windows weren't too orange. The brighter shots where you're looking at, say, like the grass on the ground, and we would actually change that, and so it was cooler so that the grass looked greener. And then the center shot where it's showing the exterior of the house, we would actually white balance that for the house. And what you get was this really neat image where in Fusion, you would have the grass and the greenery all really deep green, the house perfectly colored, and then the windows themselves they weren't blown out orange. They were more true to color.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did we did HDR with different color temperatures, and that was a cool look. The only problem was that when we started doing that, it took too much time to set the white balance for each bracketed portion, and so we found different ways of fixing that.
And you did that. You did that afterward, right?
What do you mean?
Setting the white balances.
Yeah, so what we would do is we would take it, take those the raw files into Bridge, and then we would grab all the top exposures, set them all to one white balance, take the center, set them to one white balance, and then the low end, set those to a different white balance, and then export those all into a JPEG or a TIFF, and then batch from there.
Very cool. Yeah, that sounds creative and stuff that I thought that I wish I thought of.
Yeah. So
Let's see, we've got. Going back to the comments, I've got one topic I'll bring up from a question prior to the show that I thought I would just bring up here. Wanted to check if anybody else had other questions. John, my max is 14 in a day, whole apartment complex.
yeah.
14 apartments? Okay, that could be.
Yeah, that's tough.
My question is, are they ready for you? How much? In fact, this is a good segue into what I wanted to bring up. I was getting into this little conversation. Well, I was reading a post and getting a little bit into the conversation about someone had I was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, or are you tough?
Yeah.
Brand new complex. Okay, yeah, that's a good job. Do they pay you for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so Yeah, we were in this conversation about they had caught the realtor in a couple of shots because
Mm,
the person thought they were hidden, but they had an unusual, like a see-through fireplace, I think, and they're catching it. So anyway, they got in this conversation about I called it how do you handle these things? Like I call it in the hospitality business, we would have these discussions about tact. So
hmm
when someone this is a long time ago, we didn't have to be politically correct about things, but when you really wanted when someone was not going to fit in the place they wanted to sit,
hmm
then what could you do? And you'd find ways of saying like you know our but over here is our best views over here, or
Yeah.
our best waiter is over here, or like you'd find ways of avoiding the issue. So I'm wondering in these days, if you have a client, that could be the real estate agent, it could be the owner, and just talking about ways of
hmm
we don't want them in the way
Yeah. But we also don't want to, offend them. And
and also exactly. So I was thinking Rob would be the perfect person because I think you've got this kind of thing down with your client. And I thought I'd ask you what you would like.
sure.
My two ideas are if you don't want them there, or let's say they let's say they didn't really prepare for you before, and they kind of are they expecting you to clean up, or did they not know, or how do we handle that the place isn't prepared the way that they always promise it will be?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. For me, I've got three kids, and one of the things that I've realized is that if you want somebody to be busy doing something so that you can get something done, you have to task them with something that they want to do, or something that they think is going to be helpful. And we have this all the time where we go into a place, and the realtor will be standing there saying, "Hey, I'm just here for support, just in case you need me." And they will stand right behind you the entire time, even now in COVID. And so
Really?
for us, we can't just turn around and say, "Hey, get out of my space," or "Hey, let me work. Can you wait outside?" And so we do something differently where we just do a pre-inspection with the realtor or the homeowner. And we'll say, "Okay, come along, let's go take a quick look." And we'll go through the place, and we will say, "All right, you know what? Here, I need those blinds over there. Can you set them here? Equal it out there. Let's go over here. Can you just go around to all the bathrooms afterwards? Make sure that all the toilet seats are down. Can you go around, turn on all the lights? Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you make sure all the cupboards are closed? All the drawers on dresser drawers are closed? Can you make sure that the beds are all made, and that the sheets are all even and tight? And can you look into the backyard, make sure there's not a hose or a rake or anything that's there?"
Hmm.
And what we used to do was it's it I hate to say this, it sounds so bad when I say this. Like with children, you give them three tasks because you can't give them more than three, or else they'll forget and they'll come back and ask you, "What was I supposed to
Three?
do?" Yeah.
Wow.
Well, one, one, two. But in the same respect, what we do is we say to the realtors, like, "Oh, in the basement, can you check this, 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 and this?" And while they're doing that, we would shoot then the kitchen. And when they come back up and say, "Yeah, the basement's right," it's like, "Okay, great. We'll go shoot the basement. Can you please look at the backyard and make sure that everything is good there?" And they'll go out there, and we'll go downstairs. And we do this quite often,
Sounds like
and
a
it works
good
out well.
dance.
And yeah, and COVID has actually helped with a lot of this, where we go in. We've got, oh yeah, I haven't even shown you this, eh? We've got our custom made Calgary Photos masks.
Very
We've
nice.
got our custom made hand sanitizers, and we even have these ID cards now, because if somebody it comes up to your house with a mask on, then all of a sudden you don't know who that person is. And so we have an ID badge that shows, "Hey, this is me," and we can go in. But what we find is that when we go in with COVID, we can say, due to COVID, we want to make sure that you're safe, that we're safe. So we're going to be coming in wearing gloves. We have our masks on. We will take these shots, but we can't touch anything. So we will ask you to turn on all the lights, make sure all the toilet seats are down, and everything is clear from the counters, while we go outside and shoot the exterior first.
Okay.
And people are very receptive into that,
Right.
and it's become a nice part of the workflow, and it shows that we're taking care of them, and we're still being, proactively safe for everybody's sake, and it works out well.
There's the fact that they puts the responsibility on them also to make sure that the blinds are set. And I was thinking that it has a COVID aside, it has another nice benefit of not damaging something, because
Yes.
like blinds, sometimes they just decide to fall, and, it's
Yep.
nice when we don't have to be that one. Those really heavy ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they got invented in the first place, or how they continue. But those real heavy wood blinds that, when I pull those
Oh,
strings up, sometimes I just feel like they're going to crash down, and I'm always really careful. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's some nice benefits, and I like the idea of sending them on a mission.
Yeah.
And, but better yet, could you walk the house quickly enough and then just ask them to?
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is, what we find is that there's always something, and we can always find something to tell them to do. But the other thing that we found is that when you walk through the house with people, and you say, okay, I need this done, that looks great, this is perfect. Okay, so I can get this done, no problem. You've established trust with that client, and so they have no problem leaving you alone in their house now.
Mhm.
So, John, yeah. Oh God, the worst that we've had with those Venetian blinds. We were in a place. They had Venetian blinds everywhere, and there was this one that was just tangled up. And he said, "Well, we gotta." We told the realtors, like, "Well, if you can get them all straight and even, that'll be great." And we left them, came back, and they were even, and they were all put away. And he said, "Well, this looks great." And we looked, and all of a sudden we just saw these little dangly strings, and we thought, "What the hell?" And I said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "Well, the strings from the Venetian blinds, they didn't look so good, so I cut them." And so the realtor cut the lines
Wait,
from the Venetian
cut what?
blinds so that I know. So we said, "Oh, I don't think you should have done that, because now you
Oh, the
can't
strings
actually
were
lower the
somewhere.
blinds, because if you
Oh my
do,
gosh.
yeah." And yes, the
You
strings
better
do get
pull them up again.
a little unsightly, but you don't cut them. So again, you're absolutely right. It wasn't
That's hilarious.
our responsibility. But we did tell the realtors, like, look, you know what? You have to save face to your client. So how about this? If you need a scapegoat, just blame it on us, and we can work together on getting a I'm sorry basket out to them, and pay for those repairs. So
Well, that's
uh,
nice of you to offer to take the oops, sorry.
to take the blame.
I have some devices interrupting here. I heard our voice on my phone start to come up.
Okay.
Did you hear that? Was it a weird?
Yeah, I can actually hear myself doing a kind of echoey thing.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's all
Sorry.
good.
Sorry. There's a
Yeah.
few devices around that are a little. They're taking on the life of their own. Um, well, yeah. That's yeah. Cool. I like the I like the topic. What have you? Do you have any other thing that you've noticed with? Because I think those are the two things: is having people present, and again, I'm
Yep.
hyper. I'm even more. I'm always even more aware of it because I do so much 360 stuff that
Hmm.
everything's in, and people don't understand that. And
And the reflections and everything. No, we're
yeah,
we're good. We uh, you know, in this industry, we get asked to do a lot of things. Like we've gotten asked to do things like, hey, you know what, that light bulb's burnt out there. Can you Photoshop that in?
Yeah.
And it's usually the realtors that ask us to do stuff like that. And for us, we've been doing this for long enough that we know that we should not Photoshop that in unless the realtor ensures that it is just a burnt out light bulb. And the reason I say this is because we actually had this happen years and years and years ago,
What if it's a
where a
real
realtor
problem
said,
and not just a bulb?
exactly. So we Photoshopped the light in, but there was a huge electrical issue where it actually couldn't be turned on.
Oh no. Okay.
And
Yeah.
so, after the deal went through, the new homeowner said, well, no, look, in the photos, it was working and that's what we bought. And our electrician is now telling us that it's not just a light bulb issue, it's a whole electrical issue.
Yeah.
And the selling realtor the seller were responsible for fixing it. And so there's that kind of stuff.
That's a good lesson because, of course, if someone says asks for an easy, for me, if somebody asks for an easy Photoshop change, I'll usually say, yeah, sure, but we're only going to do one or two of these things because it does take time, and happy to do it, but don't keep asking for change because that's not what we're doing here. It's not what.
And then just one word of advice to anybody out there that does do Photoshop stuff like that: send them both images. So send them the original that's not Photoshopped and send them the one that is Photoshopped. And the reason for this is if they have the two versions and the realtor decides to use the Photoshopped one, they are the one that made that choice. All you have done is provided them an image Photoshop like they had asked. You are not misrepresenting anything.
Rob's Gems. Hashtag Rob's Gems.
So
that's a really good one. Cool.
It's a good way to.
Thanks. I knew you'd be a great fountain of information for that. Here's a good
if
one.
you have to go with one of these things, what would you choose?
Change of subject.
A drone, tilt shift lens, or lighting? What's the most important thing to focus on? Lighting.
I was going to start out with saying that in this day and age, the thing you can cut out of there is the tilt shift. Just not needed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
As cool as they are.
No, they're just expensive, and I would use tilt shift for weddings, but that's about it.
Oh yeah, I mean we're really keeping it with real estate, right? You can get really creative and all that with tilt shift lenses are awesome, but they're expensive. They are actually pretty limited. They're for really just a couple of purposes. And when you're talking about real estate, we're talking about getting the verticals right, and that's what the tilt shift lens is for in the case of real estate. And now you can do it instead by zooming out or backing up, getting some extra space that's croppable, and then you'll be able to use the transform, they call it in Lightroom, vertical rotation, and you can do all that in post, and you'll get the same result as long as because some of the one thing that'll happen when you do that is you'll have to crop it, so you'll lose some of the area around. But with so much resolution of cameras now for real estate photography, mine has 32 megapixels. That's not even that big anymore. Take some extra space, use the transform, and you don't need a tilt shift. So cut that one out. And
exactly.
later on, if it's a thing and you're highly successful and you have a use for it, rent one, buy one. But for now, not. And then the drone. Drone takes a ton of licensing, at least in the U.S. and Canada. You have to license, you have to do a bunch of things. They're not that expensive to me for what you get, because you can get aerial shots. I have a $500 drone that does perfectly good. The camera's not that great, but as long as you know how to use it, you can get good enough. And but I use a pole. So you just get the pole up 12, 15, 17 feet. That's usually more than enough, unless you're doing video. So that's my quick thing on drone. So that was the long answer to say I agree with Rob. get a couple of lights to augment. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
if you're an all lighting person, I don't know how you have time in a property to do all lighting, but uh, I do bracketing almost exclusively. And if you want some lights to augment that, like if you want to do, if you're a window poles person, or if you want to can really control and shape the light and really tell the story more and get more creative, then lights are wonderful for that.
Yeah, lights are fantastic. We use it. We use them all the time, and it's lighting is not for lighting the entire place. It's for filling
Mm-hmm.
and just accenting and for color correction at times. And so, for example, even with this video right now that we're doing, I've got, geez, I was just showing Ron this earlier. That. It's an on-camera video light, but without it, it makes a huge difference as to what things look like. So if I just turn that off, it's still me, but it looks flat. And so just to add a little bit of light there to make it look more
Mm-hmm.
natural, great. And it doesn't take a lot of light. And lighting's like makeup. You just put on enough to look like you're not wearing it.
All
If you
right.
put on makeup to look like you're wearing it, then you'll look like a clown. And that's what happens when you got too much lighting or you've done it wrong. But
Yeah.
if you use it subtly,
Yeah.
it'll look great.
And I think if it's you could go from you could spend tens of thousands of dollars on lighting, or you could spend $500 to get what you need. And
Yeah.
I got a bunch of I got a bunch of those Godox 8200s, which is they're
Hmm.
basically like a little bit bigger than a regular hot shoe, but the 200s
And
are
the
like a little bigger
oh
than
yeah.
that kind of a hot shoe light. Not too much
Hmm.
bigger. They're still mobile. They're battery powered, but they're about twice as powerful. And having even one of those, which is what, a couple $100, a couple hundred US,
Yeah.
uh, if you get them on sale, which they're always on sale at Adorama. I think that's where I got them. And yeah, so two of those with, you don't even need a light stand. They come with a little attachment that lets you attach it to a, or at least mine did. You can attach it to a regular tripod, or just find something else.
Hmm.
You can, for what Rob does, and
Yeah.
look at previous videos that we've done on the channel. For what Rob does, you can just hold it. So they're all
Oh yeah.
wireless. So yeah, I think some light can definitely help. Having said that, you can still use the
So
kind that you held up, the regular hot shoe one. Right?
yeah, we use a lot of these the V860s. And the nice thing about these is that, well, here in Canada, these cost around 150 bucks. And we used to use Canon 600 EX, and those were, well, $600 Canadian.
Yeah.
And if you broke it, we would have to send it into Canon to get it fixed. Now, when we sent it off to Canon to get it fixed, it cost us 150 bucks to get it fixed. So now with the Godox ones, it's the same cost as a repair cost. The output's the same. The colors is practically the same. And I don't care if any of my guys break them, because if they break them, it's 150 bucks to get another one, and we're still in business. So
Do you think that supply chain is going to continue now? Because these are
it
all
has so far. Uh,
these are all, as my cousin says, these are all the finest Chinesium products. So
yeah,
I don't know
no,
how
there.
that supply chain will continue or not.
It's good. It's going to be interesting to see how I don't know if I don't know what the uh, you know uh, they are a cheaper flash, but just because they're more cost effective or less costly doesn't mean that they don't have the same great quality, and that's what I like about them. I think we only had one or two flashes that didn't work out the way that they were supposed to, and then we had to send them back. But our camera store here in Calgary is fantastic. They treat us very well.
I'm sure you have backups already laying in wait there, don't you?
Oh yeah, we've got we've got a few extras just in case, and that is one thing that I always say to other photographers is just have a backup plan for anything that can happen. So, for example, with my team, there's 7 of us out there at any one time, and we could lose. If somebody breaks a tripod or breaks a lens or a flash, we've got enough people out there where we can get people to meet, and everybody has extras of other things so that we can
Yeah.
um,
Right. Right.
supplement. And when we can't, I've already told my team, it's like, look, what happened? Memory card went. Okay, go to Best Buy or London Drugs or whatever place you need to pick up another one and just keep working. If you've lost a lens, we've got extras out there. We just need to have one of our guys drive it out to them, or they can meet up. And the nice thing is, real estate's one of those things where, when there's times you can screw up and times that you can't. You can't screw up if it's a wedding. You can't have your gear screw up
Yeah.
if it's a wedding. So you always have to take a second body, second lens, and a backup plan. With real estate, the thing that's great is that it's just real estate. If
It's not
you
going anywhere.
go to a house it and some equipment breaks, you can always go back, and you just don't have to worry about it, and you don't have to stress about it. And one of the things that is fantastic is that if you keep that in your own mind and allow others to make mistakes as well. Like we've had this before where a realtor would come up to us and they'd be like, yeah, go to this house. It's ready. It's fantastic. And we go to the place and it's an absolute mess and we can't do a thing about it and we can't shoot it. And so it used to be that we would go up to them and say, look, you know what? My staff went out there. We spent 15 minutes there and we talked to the homeowner and it wasn't ready. So we're leaving. I have to pay for the time for my staff. So I'm going to send you a cancellation fee, right? Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
However, as soon as you do that, then you are put in a position where you are never allowed to make a mistake.
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
if with the same client, the next time you go there and say your flash breaks or your memory card fails, and you have to go out, grab another one and come back. Well, how are they going to feel about the amount of time that you've wasted of theirs,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if you allow for yourself and for the realtor to, have mistakes and to be able to accept and, be lenient on it, then it works out best for everyone. So we've gotten into this situation, this habit of, you know what, if the place isn't ready, that's fine. I'll send my guys back. I'll pay my staff, and but we just won't charge the client because there's no need to. But at the same time, if we run into a situation where, one of ours, one of my staff forgets to take their tripod to a shoot or something like that, then I'll call the realtor up and say, hey, you know what? I'm so sorry. We had a little issue here. Uh, my guy just has to go back, get some extra gear, and come back. Sorry about that. And everyone is really accepting and understanding about that. So,
Client. That's just taking care of your clients. That you want to have them call you again, so you would do things for them. And if it happens over and over and over, that would change. I guess you'd have a little
yeah,
discussion. But yeah.
and it works. It's nice because if you treat your clients like you would a friend, then it's not an issue because they'll treat you like a friend, and they will always refer friends, and they will always be good to you. And so that's sort of how we've been running our business now for over 10 years.
Yeah,
It's,
I completely agree. It's just customer service and keeping your clients happy, so they keep calling you. That's how I look at it too. That's cool.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. John agrees. Don't change cancellation fees.
Yeah,
Keep the relationship. And if they keep treating you badly, sometimes you have to. Well, you talk to them, you take care of them, they take care of you. Ultimately, you can
Mhm.
fire your client. It's it's
Yeah.
okay if you have to. Don't let them take over your whole world.
Yeah.
I had this discussion in the real world the other day, which is nice because that is, we're quarantined, so I had the real
Hmm.
world discussion the other day of having kind of grown up, I guess you'd say, in having enough experience and stuff that I don't mean age-wise, but just having the experience, having the clientele, having a business that's healthy. Therefore,
Hmm.
when you have to say no to a job, you can say no to a job, and
Yeah.
that's really important. And actually, I'm pretty sure this is right. I don't think there's any exceptions. The times that I've said no to a job, they have always come back and given me what I'd asked for, whatever, agreed to what I'd said. Whether
Yeah.
that could have been, okay, in real estate photography, I don't think most of us use contracts, and maybe we could talk about that another time, but I've been asked to sign contracts that I wouldn't sign, like
Hmm.
work made, never sign a work made for hire contract for a regular photography job. If you don't know what that is, anybody out there, Google work made for hire.
Hmm.
And I just said, no, I'm not going to agree to these things, or the money wasn't, whatever it was. Um, Sorry, it just doesn't going to work out for me. I'm going to have to pass. I'm going to have to
Yeah.
pass on this. Every time, um, I think it's only 4 or 5 times that I've done this, but they've always come back and said, we want you. And
Yep.
maybe that has to do with the fact that I was confident enough to not get pushed around or whatever it was. Uh,
Well,
don't be afraid
you
to
know
do
what?
it.
Let's face it. We're past that age of being susceptible to the, hey, come shoot this place. You can use it for your portfolio.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
uh, right?
There
And
are
there's still people out there that do that.
there
Like,
are
if
now
you have a good
websites.
house,
I think there are websites dedicated now to where it's a marketplace, and they want to
oh yeah.
sell you things, and the currency is exposure.
Hmm.
It's a joke, obviously, but they're trying to find a place where you can spend your exposure, because
Yeah,
everyone says, "Do this for me; it'll be great exposure for you."
exactly. Oh my
And
God.
the
It's like those photo contests. And ha have you gotten these emails where it's like, oh, join this photo contest and you could win this international prize or whatever. And you read the
yeah,
fine print, and essentially what it is give us your photos. You may win a prize, but we now own the right to the photos and we can sell them on stock.
yeah, wow,
And
really?
so, yeah.
Is this the one in Greece?
Oh, I don't know. There's a few of them where if you read the fine print, it is any submission now becomes a property of the contest holder, and they may sell it for whatever stock use that they want.
That's incredible. I can see it happening though. Yeah, oh man, and some
Yeah.
people and enough people would be actually happy with that. They would show it off or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um,
So,
hey Isaac, thanks. How should I go about a 360 shoot with my DSLR and showcase it like you are showing? I was playing around with my website and
oh
Bob's
yeah.
website earlier. Yeah, if you want to still do that, like I still do that sometimes, of course, when I get asked. But yeah, I would go with a Nodal Ninja
Oh,
rotator.
you're using the Nodal Ninjas?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
I
great.
I do it old school. Whereas a simple rotator, I use a 10.5 millimeter fisheye. You can use the 8 millimeter Sigma on lots of cameras, and I just rotate it by hand. My
Hmm.
system takes 4 times around. Bracket each one. Bracket it the same way. Don't change your exposures when you rotate. So if your middle exposure is 1/60th and you have it bracketed 4 above, 4 under, whatever, do that exactly the same way in manual. And then,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, we could spend all day going with workflow, but LinkedIn Learning or lynda.com, I have a whole course on 360-degree photography, and it's from a few years ago, but with the DSLR stuff holds up. It's the same process, I go through everything, shooting, processing, HDR, stitching, everything.
Wow.
You can, it's the only title I have, so search my name on there, you'll see it. But I love talking about 360s. So, it's about time we should sign off.
It is. We've hit that hour mark.
Yeah. Again, you find Rob at either calgaryphotos.ca, like is right there under his mug, or robmoroto.com, right?
That's correct.
And me, I'm Ron with Photomatix team. You can find, if you have questions about anything we were saying, ask us on the Facebook group, support@hdrsoft.com. I recommend the Learn page. There are a lot of great tutorials and things there. And let's see, we have been doing some of these every week or two during the quarantines. You can go back and get lots of other of Rob's gems and other things. We've talked about picking up new business. We've talked about pricing. We've talked about shooting with lighting. We've talked about shooting with bracketing. We've talked about a lot of things. So yeah, go back and check those out. And you can, if you really want to, I'm building ronpepper.com out. And as Isaac says, oh my God, how time flies.
Yeah.
Oh, get a Z1, John.
Yeah, don't get the V, get the Z, for sure.
It's really good. It's really good. What of the point where the tripod is planted? Okay, PT GUI now has this thing. I forget the terminology, but if you shoot another shot looking at the ground, you can actually, from a different perspective, for a different point, you can stitch that in. It's amazing. As long as
Really?
as long as it's flat, it will be able to figure that perspective out. It does it takes a little bit too much work. I don't think it's really worth it. For me, I usually put something there. Either I put a logo, or I put something, or I just clone out the grass or whatever. A lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of things you can do. We could talk all day about that, Isaac, but I'm glad you're into it. And this is just for me and Rob. Thanks, John. And
Thanks, John.
And yeah, look for us online. Join us in the Facebook stuff. We're getting more active. When questions come in, I usually get notified of it. I'm trying to get used to it so I can respond in a decent time, but one of us will. All right, thanks. For another
Thanks, everyone.
Live Q&A. Thanks for everybody participating. Again, you can shoot us questions offline, and we can add them in here next time we do this, which would be what, probably in 2 weeks.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
We'll put
Be
something
perfect.
out about it. All right. Well, thanks, Rob. Thanks for everybody watching. See you next time.
Thanks, Ron. All right, take care.
Ciao.